Hello, beautiful people. This post is all about welcoming miracles into your life this spring. I'm reading directly from my Substack post, which is under sophialeitnerhubert.substack.com. Let's get right into it. I'm excited to share this story with you, this example, and everything that neuroscience and religion tell us about receiving miracles. Actually, not everything, that would be a really long post, but I'm doing a quick comparison for you of what neuroscience and religion tells us about receiving miracles in our lives and how we can prepare for you to receive miracles in your life this spring. So, I have a cute, sweet story to start us out with as an example. So I experienced a miracle this week, which I'm so grateful for. Early morning on Wednesday, my body awoke me naturally at 3 a.m. and my mind was swimming with thoughts about my book. So it was like pretty koi fish were gently swirling around me, and I was in this really peaceful state, but lots of thoughts kind of coming in, which I wrote down. I did not fully fall back asleep, but I was in a mostly blissful state of receiving these thoughts, ideas, and visions for my book. The new title for my second draft came to me in one fell swoop, and I fell in love with its beauty like instantly, and I was like, yeah, this is what I've been looking for. The last couple days before I received this download Wednesday morning, I had been kind of wondering about it and seeking it, and then it just came to my mind, and I believe my angels sent it to me, right? So I was looking for something that could be easily made into an acrostic, and here I received a perfect acrostic for her, like H-E-R. So my new working title, which I believe will be the published title, is Heart Ever Resonant. And I love it. It's so spot on for what I'm writing. And I think that having a working title for whatever project you are working on, whether it be a book, another piece of writing, a physical art collection, or any sort of project, I think it's really helpful to have a working title for these projects because you have a name with which to refer to it, and this strengthens your relationship to the project. And the more that you speak about it, talk like with the project, be in relationship with it, the easier it becomes to parse it out, notice its pieces, and rebuild it as you're completing your set project. So that's kind of an aside, but I bring that up as an important example of what I consider like a miracle download this week. So 3 days into my second draft, this new title came to me, freshly kind of out of the blue, one could say, while I was laying on my rose-patterned bed sheets. And I'm telling you, I love this new title, and it's motivating me to finish the project quicker, which is part of the miracle of all this. My excitement about this title is thrilling to me, and I already feel like it's on the precipice of publication just because I'm so excited about the title and like finishing the manuscript this month that I feel it's closer than ever, which I love. And I even made a mock cover later that day using this title and like my vision for the cover, and I love it so much. So I share this story because it's an example of how miracles are possible all around us if we choose to see them that way, and if we choose to see these insights, downloads, and other like synchronicities, and even everyday little beautiful things that happen, we can choose to see them as miracles. And I'm going to talk about that more as I go into this post. Sorry, finding my place in the post again. Let's see. Yeah, I share this today because it's an example of how miracles are all possible all around us if we choose to see them that way, and miracles are present in our lives. So I want that to be like a clear example for you. Another example is early in my relationship with my husband, when we were still dating, I told him how I never tire of my daily walks on the beach. I never get bored with things like that. When I was living in Florida, I think I walked on the beach like 300 days out of the year. And each time I considered the miracle of being able to walk with my legs in such a beautiful place because I was so grateful for it, and I didn't want to take that for granted. Every sunny day, every fair weather day, I was so grateful to be there. Because it is a miracle to experience this beautiful earth and this beautiful life, and I think that it's a blessing to have that perspective about your time on this earth and about being able to move through this life, I choose not to become bored with these experiences, even if they become ordinary every day, like a habit of walking or exercising every day. Still embodying gratitude for that, I think, is so important, and this will attract more miracles to you. And I'll show you the neuroscience behind this. So I choose to have childlike eyes about it. I choose to kind of have this freshness and new perspective about the things that I'm grateful for every day, because I choose not to take those daily lovely things for granted. Mostly because I remember that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And I think it's so wonderful to be experiencing this life through this body. So I just want to encourage you. Returning to that gratitude is so helpful and will magnify the miracles that you see in your life. There's so much beauty available to us in any given moment, and if we're willing to look for it, especially. The more we practice seeing the magic in our lives, the more we find. So receiving my book title in the early morning this Wednesday was a miracle to me. If you disagree, it won't really affect the outcome for me. It's really important about what I believe about it, and I just want to share that example. You get to choose what you see as a miracle in your life, so I'm reminding you of your agency in that. And I think that being the kind of person who finds the miraculous in the ordinary is a choice and a gift. And you can make that choice every day, and I highly recommend it. So finding the miraculous in the ordinary is one of the most powerful gifts that we can give ourselves and to others, because you walk around with this appreciation, this sense of vitality and gratitude for life, and it's just contagious and it's beautiful. So I encourage you to open your eyes and see all the miracles that surround you in your everyday life, including peace, freedom, safety. You know, we have so much to be grateful for. Magnify these everyday, ordinary miracles, even if they seem small at first. So, how do we welcome miracles this spring? As I know we're entering spring very, very soon, and I'm very excited about it. So welcoming miracles is not a passive act. It's not simply wishing harder or believing more. It's the active cultivation of the inner conditions, like gratitude that I've been talking about, that make you available to receive the blessings that are coming to you. So I think that some of us have been taught to think about miracles a little too narrowly, so I'm offering an expansive definition here. What is a miracle? Every major religion has a concept of the miraculous, and neuroscience also has a definition as well. Here's a brief comparison. Christianity sees miracles as direct interventions of God, signs and wonders that point to a truth beyond what the natural order can produce on its own. Islam sees God as the direct cause of all events, which means the miraculous is not an interruption of the natural order, but an expression of it. Hinduism and Buddhism tend to understand miracles less as divine interventions and more as manifestations of a deeper reality, the fruit of spiritual practice, and a life lived in alignment. In the Buddhist tradition specifically, the Buddha identified the highest miracle not as magic or spectacle, but as instruction, the miracle of genuine transmission between one mind to another. So learning, receiving an insight. I love all these examples. The consensus across religious traditions is that miracles are available and correlate with some sort of inner preparation. So on that note, let's turn to the neuroscience for comparison. Recent research shows that sleep is essential for both learning and creativity. And when we sleep, the brain is actively trying to make sense of what we've been working on and integrating it into memory storage of what we already know. It's kind of just a precursor for what the brain is doing for you at night. During REM sleep, the brain exhibits increased connectivity between the limbic system and the neocortex, facilitating emotional integration and creative recombination of ideas. The famous chemist Auguste Kekule discovered the ring structure of benzene this way. He dreamed of a snake biting its own tail and woke up with the answer to a problem he had been unable to solve for years. I think that's an interesting example that I might need to go into in a future post and learn more about. Like, basically, he was able to discover something about science because his brain was working on the problem and thinking through it while sleeping. And that's how a lot of scientific revelations have kind of come to the forefront. Another example is if you have an aha moment while you're learning something, it almost doubles your memory. There are a few memory effects as powerful as this, and the insight does not just arrive, it rewires your brain. So this insight reshapes how the brain represents the information and sears it into long-term memory. And I have citations linked in this post if you want to check them out on Substack. Research has also shown that participants who reported feeling more positive solved more problems by insight, whereas those who reported greater anxiety solved more problems analytically. So this is what happened to me at 3 a.m. My brain did not stop working on my book when I closed my eyes. In fact, it kept going, and quietly below the threshold of my conscious thought, my brain was making connections that I could not have forced while awake at my desk. So the neuroscience shows us that a regulated, open, and psychologically safe nervous system is more capable of receiving insight than a scared, locked up, nervous system that's kind of in a freeze state. So anxiety narrows perception because you're focusing on surviving, the fight or flight response, whereas calm expands your perception and opens your mind. The ancient traditions knew this and they wrote it down. And now neuroscience agrees that the person who receives the miracle is not passive, but they've done some form of inner work to become available to it, to receive these insights. So we have a role to play in our personal miracles. I'll say that one more time. We have a role to play in our personal miracles. And what does this mean for us practically as we stand at the threshold of a new season? If we want to welcome more miracles into our lives, and I imagine we all would love that, this spring, this means that we must tend to our nervous systems and set ourselves up for success in that way. This means creating enough silence and stillness and inner calm for the deeper mind to do its work. Here's another important note from neuroscience. Andrew Newberg, a neuroscientist at the University of Pennsylvania, found that people from nearly all religious traditions report very similar mystical and spiritual experiences, suggesting a common neural pathway active in the human brain in all cases of spiritual perception. So you guys know I love spirituality, and I do think that spirituality, it does help shape your brain, and it helps open you to this creative, spiritual other side of life where there's more possible and available to you because of how your beliefs are rewiring your mind. So I think it's very, very powerful, and I'm happy to talk more about, how spirituality shapes the brain in the future. If that's of interest, let me know. So we learn from this also, we can gather that those who are having spiritual experiences are doing it in a community, whether that's their religious community, their church, other like-minded spiritual friends. And we are wired for this sort of community, and we're wired to open spiritually to possibilities in the presence of others who are also opening and have spiritual experiences. That's something that I'm seeking this spring, like spiritual community. And it's something that's so lovely about having a spiritual community is the more you magnify these sort of things, the more you magnify gratitude and resonance and miracles and magic, the more you will see it in your life. And the more that your friends and your community are also magnifying those things, just the more you'll see it, the more you'll attract it into your life. So another important piece of this is marking the threshold moments. I believe this is very important. It helps us mark time. So we mark the seasons. I love to mark the equinoxes. I always do some sort of ritual or routine with every equinox and solstice. And this is not because the calendar is magic. If you don't want to believe that, you could believe that. I think partly the way that time passes on our earth in our solar system is quite magical, but it's because the ritual creates the conditions for insight, and the ritual and the routine of marking this time and saying this is an important time, this is a specific portal moment, this is a time where I want something to change. That belief is so important for your brain, and that cues you and prepares you for the next change that you're stepping into in your life. So ritual tells the nervous system that something is changing here. Pay attention, prepare, and be available and open to miracles. And this brings me to the end of this post. This is a very important call to action. If you'd like to join us for this event, I would love to see you there and give you an opportunity to connect in community and step into spring together and activate miracles in our lives. So quarter one is almost behind us. Before we rush into quarter two of 2026, I want to invite you to pause and prepare for me so that you can step into this season, again, fully prepared, fully activated to your highest purpose. I'm hosting a free live gathering on Zoom on Friday, March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and this is going to be called Bloom. Blooming into spring. This is a spring equinox activation, and we will, during this 60-minute meeting, review quarter one, maybe what you've learned, integrate lessons, and get clear on your primary goal for quarter two. And we'll do a spring activation using these exact principles so that you are leaving feeling genuinely clear on your action items for your primary goal for quarter two. You're feeling supported in community, and you feel that it's all possible, which is so important as we're pursuing our goals. You'll be leaving feeling clear, focused, and ready for this next season, and you will activate miracles this spring. This event is exactly what I needed someone to offer to me right now. Honestly, I look forward to it so much, and this is why I'm organizing it and offering it to y'all, because I want us to gather in community, and I want us to ritualize the spring. And it's one of my favorite seasons, so I'm really looking forward to it. You can register here. I will link everything in this post. It's on Zoom, it's free to attend. Feel free to register, feel free to share with friends if you like. Space is limited, so I would recommend signing up in the coming days, like as soon as possible before all the spots fill. And I'd love to see you there, like I said. You can come with your journal, you can light a candle if you have one. You can arrive exactly as you are, and we will prepare to transform this spring. I'll see you on the equinox. Peace out. I'm gonna leave you just with one sweet quote from Meister Eckhart. What we plant in the soil of contemplation, we shall reap in the harvest of action. Peace.